Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, the podcast mogul Phil Better. I think my camera's falling. Here we go. Make us a little better here. I am, of course, the podcast mogul Phil Better. I'm your host with the most. I'm here with an amazing guest who's been in the entrepreneurial world for just over the last 6 years, but been changing the game the way they've been doing it. They started just simply vlogging. Now they're hitting the podcast world and they're taking over social media. But ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the host of Amanda's World, Amanda Penny. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
It was a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. I'm interested to talk with you because you're one of the youngest entrepreneurs we've kind of had on the podcast, like youngest entrepreneur. Usually we're having like 30-year-olds, like close to 30-year-olds. Yes, I know the age scares you.
No, it's fine. That's the one thing I get when people interview me. Like, I'm used to interviewing 30-year-olds, not 18-year-olds. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But I love seeing it because the 30-year-olds we interview were the 18-year-olds, but just didn't get a chance to platform themselves because they didn't have social media.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, I have your bio here, and it's insane what you've done and how many people you've helped work with. But I want you to introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little about your youthful entrepreneurial spirit.
Jeez. Okay. Hi, my name is Amanda Penny, most known for running Amanda's World, the podcast. I'm a New York native. I've been podcasting since I was 16, but in social media itself, I've been doing it since I was 12. And I guess I'm here. I've been doing my thing. I've started off that's a different story than how it froze out for a second.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get anything. Are you there? Seem to be having some technical. Amanda, can you hear me?
Hello. Okay. Well,
Amanda, can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Looks like we lost the guest. Give me a second here. I'm going to just jump in the private chat here. Nope, just left. We'll see if they come back and then we can restart the episode. There we go.
I'm so sorry. My phone was hooked up to my hotspot.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
It's okay. It happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right. So everything's good now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll redo the intro. No. We'll go up to because you were fine up until you started talking about introducing yourself. So we'll just
go there.
We'll just take it from there. So I'll go, hey Amanda, just tell us about her. Tell us about yourself.
Okay.
All right, cool. So Amanda, I have this great intro all about you, and it's really fun. I would read it, but I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience, please.
Hi, my name is Amanda Penny. I am 18 years old. I'm a New York native. I have been doing podcasting since I was 16, social media itself since I was 12. Those are two very fun stories of how I started. Oh my gosh, they're so much fun. But I basically just give it a shortened version of how I started social media at the age of 12. There was this girl in my homeroom, I call her M, and she had a cell phone. I did not have a phone until I was in the 8th grade. And I was just very amusing in homeroom because I was so freaking bored because everybody had phones but me. So we made an Instagram vlog account. I started vlogging my life. Sooner or later, I met this other boy who also had a cell phone. His name was the Libra. That's another story though. And I used to vlog with him and make YouTube content. So we did that for a while. And then when I got a phone in the 8th grade, I was doing social media and it started to be really draining. So I took like a break and then I stopped doing YouTube with the Libra, which, fun fact, he has made that into his own channel and has locked me completely out of our old channel and all my missing videos on it. But it's fine because I locked him out of the Instagram account. So we're even. But basically, I did social media in 8th grade a little bit there and then was doing TikTok. 9th grade, I made a video impersonating it like fuckboy, and it got like 4.5 million views on TikTok. And I gained a little bit of a following on there. But then I made my TikTok private and stuff. And I guess during quarantine, my friend, I was on the phone with him one night. I was like, I want to do something with social media and go back to YouTube. And he's like, you can't do that. The Libra does YouTube. You can't do that. So I was like, okay, because I'm not friends with the Libra anymore. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll start a podcast. He's like, it's not going to get anywhere. Try it. But like, there's no way you're going to get anywhere. Like, go ahead. I give you a week before you quit. I had 1,000 listeners in my first month of podcasting. And now I have 14,000. And I've only been doing it for 2 years. And the people seem to like my content. So I've kept on going.
Awesome. And what is it about your podcast that you feel that people resonate with?
I think I gained a following, and I'm going to be really real, off my Libra stories. That's what gained me quite a following, was that, because this boy does social media and he's a Long Island native and goes to school with me, and I've been going to school with him since the 7th grade. And like me telling and talking about him is kind of relatable to people because of what he's done to me. I've also gained a viewing off some of the guests I've had on, for sure. That I also gained a viewing off of telling the story of how my mom had COVID. Everybody found that to be funny because I made it into a documentary that I've never released called My Mom Has COVID. Oh, and I actually just made a part 2. She just got over it again. But stuff like that. I guess the things I talk to, people resonate with me because I'm a teenager doing it. And I feel like people haven't seen a teenager do what I'm doing. Like, I've worked with a lot of bigger name brands that kids my age probably haven't worked with and stuff. So I feel like people are just kind of learning things off of me. And it's been an interesting experience.
Where do you want to take this career?
I want to go to college for it. I actually just committed to Oswego for communications media. I want to go to school for like social media and get my degree to hopefully do it full time at like Young Hollywood or like in Barstool or in red carpet interviews, kind of doing this, but also having a degree in it.
Okay, so you want to bring a more kind of like a solidified reputation to the industry, instead of seeing it at people looking at it as like, oh, it's just kids on YouTube or it's just a podcast.
Yeah,
You want to bring something more to it.
100%, because I feel like people don't take me seriously in the podcasting industry sometimes because of my age. I'm as like a podcaster just like everybody else. I've been doing this since I was 16. I taught myself everything with no help from anybody, and I run this completely on my own. So I feel like people don't take me seriously sometimes, and I feel like I want to prove everybody wrong. Because a lot of people are like, oh, she's gonna quit. She doesn't, because I'm known not to take things seriously. But this personally, I take very seriously, and I've been absolutely killing it.
I love that. And have you seen the support from your family and friends behind it?
My friends, funny enough, my best friend Kelsey's listened to 1 episode. She is subscribed though. Then there's Dennis, and he has been friends with me since I've started podcasting, but has never listened to it. He doesn't have Spotify and refuses to get it to listen to it. Thanks, Dennis. Really appreciate that. I really do. He's so annoying. He's like, oh, why isn't it on YouTube? Because he told me not to do YouTube because it's our problems with the Libra, which I can confirm the Libra is subscribed. But then, like my friends, like Dennis and Kelsey and like my other friends, they all listen to it and they're very supportive. Well, sometimes they only listen to it if this one certain kid comes on my podcast, my friends, and that's Jake. Jake runs my show. My viewers, all they ask for is Jake, and I can't do that anymore. It's every week. Can you bring back on Jake? And it does better than my actual interviews is Jake's episodes. But my family, they're very supportive. Like, you know, like most of them are on my mom's side. Like my grandma and my mom are, but like my aunts and uncles on my mom's side, they don't really like this whole social media thing, but my dad's side does.
Okay. During this whole journey, since like you've been in it since like the inception, pretty much, you were born into this world of social media. What has been your favorite moment maybe in the journey you have?
I have two. I have an in school moment and an out of school moment. So back in September, I interviewed, we'll call him, what can I call him without name dropping him? We'll call him Mizzy. I had Mizzy on with Jake. And Mizzy is the male version of me, does not shut up to save his life. All he does is talk, 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 talk. So Mizzy was up my ass, was up my butt to go on the
It's
podcast
fine.
was up my ass for like a year to go on. So I was like, okay, screw it. I was like, if you can show up to the studio at this time, we can do it. So he showed up or whatever. He's like, I'm bringing on Jake. I was like, no, you're not. I was like, if Jake walks in, he can come on. So I guess Mizzy ran that episode. Like the whole episode was just, he took over my podcast. It was 45 minutes of him asking himself questions. And it just cracked me the hell up, the things he was saying into that microphone, because I had to edit it, like heavily edit it. And then Jake walked in and they started a whole conversation about God knows what. But it was like one of those moments where I got to be like a normal high school kid for a second instead of being like an actual professional podcaster. The episode is down now because I don't talk to Mizzy anymore, but I do talk to Jake. Jake is scheduled to go back on, but probably like the episodes I've done with Jake, they all crack me up because Jake doesn't know what he's doing. So it's just Jake sitting there, just having no idea what's happening. It's really funny. Now, my out of school moment was probably when I met Cooper Noriega. I met him 2 days before he had passed away and got to do an interview with him, but took it down due to him passing. But meeting him was probably one of my favorite moments in my career because he was such a sweet kid. May he rest in peace.
Very nice. If you have a tip since you grew up in social media, you understand how the algorithms and all that fun stuff works. What tip would you have for someone starting their own podcast?
Say yes to any opportunity you get. You'll regret it if you don't. I've said yes to everything, and I've gotten a lot of hella great opportunities. So,
well, okay. So we're going to jump over to the spark question of the show. What habit would you like to implement in order to better yourself?
Oh God, there's a list. Probably filtering, because on my podcast, I actually filter. In real life, I don't have a filter. Like everybody can say that I don't filter, and I feel like that's one thing I have to work on is filtering.
Excellent. All right. So, Amanda, I'm going to jump off the screen here. I'm going to let you the last little bit. Let my audience know where they can come and support you. All right.
Oh, we're not doing any more spark questions?
No, it's only one per game. You know what? We're going to do a second one.
I thought we were doing more than one. I was so confused.
Here. Can you recall a small decision that ended up changing the course of your life?
Probably when I fricked up my foot and ended up splitting up my tendon. That got me to quit running. So, and that was good because I quit running and now I had more time to do this.
So, what is the premise behind your show?
My show? It's kind of like, kind of trying to prove to everybody that I can do what an adult can do, being my age and being a high school student, that I can do whatever else an adult can do. So I try to make a difference with mental health and everything and small businesses and kind of just try to put things I'm interested in out in the internet, and people seem to like it.
And have you been able to monetize your show?
I use Anchor and they denied me monetization because of my age. I have to be like 21 or older to do monetization. I'm only 18.
I see.
My mom's looking into possibly putting her date of birth down and everything so I can start getting paid, but it's been a whole big thing because they want my social security number and I don't want to give that.
Okay. Have you thought of going to local businesses and seeing if they were willing to sponsor episodes?
I can't do any of that with Anchor unless I have my monetization set up because it has to go through Anchor or something. I can't do any paid sponsorships unless my monetization's set up.
Okay.
It's like a whole, it's very weird how they have it set up is I have to tell Anchor ahead of time that I'm doing a sponsor that I got on my own and they have to approve it. It's very weird how I do it. With the small businesses though, I have them on and some of them have paid me, but
okay.
That's how I basically do it is I make my own brand deals off of Instagram and that's how I make my money.
Very smart.
That's how I do that instead of doing my podcast because I get in a lot of trouble with Anchor and I've already gotten 2 strikes. So it's like 3 strikes or your podcast is shut down or something. So, and I really, really like Anchor and the brand and I like what I've been able to do on there.
So just because I've been on podcasting for the last decade,
you are able to move your hosting platform to another one.
I am, but I've chosen not to because I've gotten some really good interviews off of Anchor. And I'm also I know how to use Anchor, and my editing platform I use is Anchor. Everything is set up on Anchor to edit, and it's the only way that my podcast will stay on Spotify is if it's there.
No,
Yes, because it's ran by Anchor, Spotify.
My podcast is just to let you know, my podcast is on Spotify as well.
I mentioned it to Anchor one time about switching, and they said if I switched, I'd have to resend my podcast to Spotify, and I'd lose all my listeners for Spotify because I have to resend it to my new hosting platform since it's hosted on Anchor or something. I don't know. I do like Anchor, and it's actually it has benefited me a lot. It's just because of my age, some of the stuff I'm restricted to.
Okay. No, I understand. I just wanted to provide some.
Yeah. If you could edit out that little part where I was talking about Anchor, I might get in trouble for that. Because I'm following Anchor quite personally. I'm followed back on Instagram and everything, so I can't talk bad about the site.
No worries. I'll definitely remove that section of the interview.
Thank you. I don't want to get in trouble by them.
No worries. I understand.
Yeah.
Is there something that you want to accomplish?
Yeah. I want to hopefully be able to help people who are in need with mental health. My dad's a recovering drug addict, so I've tried to bring a lot to the table with drug and alcohol and stuff because of my dad being a recovering addict. That's my main focus. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to build a rehab or something with the money I earn.
I love that. That's such a great.
I had a friend who was going to do that, but he ended up passing away from fentanyl and died over the summer. So I'm going to hopefully raise enough money to give it to that charity that he runs. It's called Coop's Advice. Give them the money to build a rehab. It was just announced recently his cause of death was absolutely horrible. And, it was a huge mental health thing that he was running.
It's way much too sadness in the world today, and mental health that needs to be focused on. And I'm glad you're actually looking to raise money to start a charity as well as donate.
The money and I'm not going to start a charity. The money that I raise, I'm going to give to the Coop's Advice Foundation.
I apologize.
It's fine. I'm not going to start a charity. Any money I talk to his sister, so I'm going to give them if I raise enough money eventually one day, I'm going to give it to them to help build the rehab. That's my goal, is to donate it to them. But I haven't really raised anything enough yet. So I'm going to start that when I get a little bit bigger. But I eventually do want to raise enough money to give it to that foundation so they can build that rehab.
Amazing. I'm going to jump off the screen here. I'm going to let you let my audience know where they can follow and support you so that you can reach that goal.
Okay.
So the floor is yours.
What's up? I'm Amanda Penny. You can find my podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Spotify. I don't really know where else. It's pretty much all over. If you just Google me, it comes up. My Instagram is Amanda_Penny_14. Feel free to reach out with any questions or anything. Or if you're interested to be a guest, feel free to hit me up. And thank you for listening. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Amanda Perry, host of Amanda's World. Make sure you go check out Amanda Penny. Sorry, I apologize, Amanda.
Like the coin.
Yeah, Amanda Penny from Amanda's World. You can find all the links in the show notes. Pardon?
I said thank you for saying my name right. Sorry.
You can find the show notes, the links to her show, as well as her social media down below. And I want to thank her once again for being an amazing guest. And I wish you all a great day. And remember to invest in yourself.